I'm your host, T. Mitchell Bell, and we have in the studio Brent Malin from here in Pittsburgh, his new adopted home, from Kansas, by way of Kansas.
Hi Mitch, thanks for having me on here.
Hey, thanks for joining us here in the studio. This is a pleasure. We actually get to share some time in the studio today and share some time on stage later tonight. Yeah, that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that's great. 7 o'clock, Club Cafe.
Couldn't have planned it better.
Yeah.
I don't know how that all fell into place.
Sure.
But anyway, Brent, you want to dig into something right away off the top? That's usually what we do here.
Sure.
We just kind of shake the nerves off and just dig right into. What are you going to play for us?
I'm going to start with a song called Two Trees, and it's a song about Kansas. So here we go.
Okay.
The Ozark Mountains and the Kansas countryside, two farm kids became a husband and a bride. Both had pioneerful parents, that's a point of pride. With two trees on the mountainside, farm-loving people, let the Bible be the guide. But on political positions, they were never eye to eye. Neither one could bend the other, even if they tried. There were two trees on the mountainside. Two trees on the mountainside, their roots embraced, their limbs collide, steady in the sunlight, got no need to hide. Two trees on the mountainside, built a home in western Kansas where the kids and grandkids thrived. 60 years together as the eggs and bacon fried. Well, they ate that building together till the day that Grandpa died. There were two trees on the mountainside. Two trees on the mountainside. Their roots embrace, their limbs collide, steady in the moonlight, got nowhere to hide. Two trees on the mountainside, let's be two trees on the mountainside. Our roots embrace, our limbs collide, steady in the moonlight, got no need to hide. Two trees on the mountainside. Two trees on the mountainside. Two trees on the mountainside.
All right. Yeah, man, that just it does sound like Kansas. It just gives me that prairie kind of feeling.
Oh,
you know?
thanks. You spent a little time in Kansas, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and yeah, we'll get into that. First of all, congratulations, man. You're a proud new parent.
That's right. That's right. I managed to get some sleep last night, and here I am. But yeah, his name's Mason Beckett Malin. He's 1 week and 1 day old today. So.
Wow, Mason Beckett. That's a great name.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds...
He might be listening right now, for all I know. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or sleeping.
Yeah. He's probably not understanding what he's hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. And so yeah, Kansas is. I didn't know what to expect when I first went out there, and when I told people I was Overland Park is really not. I don't think Kansas
it's not deep in the prairie lands, but
no,
it's, you know.
and I tried to explain to people that, yeah, there's hills here. And I mean,
Yeah, sure.
You know, but everybody would say, oh, the Wizard of Oz, you know. That's what
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Tornadoes and Dorothy and
Yeah.
But I found it to be just really beautiful country.
Yeah.
You have to get used. I mean, you get outside of Overland Park or those areas, and it's really flat.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think beautiful. It's almost like you look at the Kansas countryside, and it's almost like looking at the ocean, right? You can see all the way to the horizon, and that's nice. And that's some of what I think about when I write some of these songs, kind of trying to capture some of that. Of course, I actually haven't lived in Kansas for about 16 years, but I still kind of write. It's in my blood. It's in my, you know, my family's been there. For, you know, both my parents were born there, and my dad's once parent on each of their sides was born there also, so it goes back quite a ways. So
I was I didn't know the whole history of Kansas in terms of the Civil War.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Kansas was a very important state. It's funny, this is going to test my history knowledge a little bit, and I have to be good at this because my dad is actually, he was a history teacher, and he specialized in Kansas history. He might be listening right now, so I have to make sure I get all this right. But, yeah, so Kansas was founded, and this is part of Kansas is kind of a weird state in a lot of ways, and part of this history is why. So it was founded by people that were trying to stop slavery from moving west. So there was slavery in Missouri, and they were trying to stop it. And so you got people who went there were abolitionists, so very, you know, liberal, progressive people.
From Boston,
yeah,
from Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's right. And then also, so you would go there if you were a progressive, you were trying to help stop slavery, and you also went if you just liked to fight, because there were going to be lots of fights. So you get this weird mix of people, you know, there, and it's sort of that history is written. You can still see it in many ways in kind of like Kansas politics and life in Kansas in many ways. So it makes it a really vibrant and interesting state. And I mean, people talk about how conservative Kansas is politically, and it is in many ways really, really conservative. But it has some very interesting kind of political threads. So their governor.
Sebelius.
Yeah, Sebelius, right? So female Democrat governor who was really popular there and did a great job, and you know, now obviously she's working for the Obama administration, but you know, so those things, that happens because there are these very interesting threads of politics and
it seemed to me it seemed to be a very independent thinking type of regardless of where you went. I spent some time in Lawrence. I thought that was I saw Free State Brewery, which that kind of, you know,
yeah, sure,
that kind of gave the name. It's like because it came into being as a free state.
Yeah.
And that was the big conflict. They used to call it, what was it, Bloody Kansas?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because of, I mean, John Brown.
Yeah, John Brown, you know,
was from Kansas, and I didn't know that
yeah.
at all. I did have the Kansas record, you know, the band Kansas.
Yeah, sure.
And on the front of the album cover, there's that mural
yeah, sure.
of John Brown that's at the State House,
yep.
I guess.
Yeah.
And I never knew that's who that was.
Yeah,
I just thought, oh, check out that guy with the big beard.
Yeah. And he's a really interesting figure, too. Very complicated, you know, progressive, you know, obviously he was fighting against slavery, but he was also just really, really violent. You know, some of the massacres that he helped lead. So, yeah, I mean that too. Yeah, he's a very complicated figure. Kansas is really complicated. Has a really complicated history.
I got a chance to meet the guy who makes documentaries about the Civil War stuff. Lives in Kansas City, and weird how I just kind of found him through the internet, whatever, and I had, you know, a song that I wanted him to put on a documentary that he was making about the Spotsylvania, the battle, Spotsylvania Courthouse, which is where my third great grandfather fought and died in the Civil War.
Yeah, sure.
And here he lives in Kansas City, and I go out there, and he's in the middle of making the documentary about the border wars between Missouri and Kansas.